So we are going to discuss some Rxjs operator, which we normally use while working on an industrial project, right? Some of them are mostly used, some are very scenario specific. So whatever possible, we will discuss it today. Fine. So everyone is compatible with that subject and behavior subject. We have already seen that. So shall we skip that, or do I have to explain that also? Subject, how do we create subject and behavior subject?
It's
We
explain
can
once
skip.
again. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now it will be we will do kind of what we say question answer. Okay, just don't be in a position like when I'm just going to explain and you are just going to be sitting ideal. So my first question will be, I just want to create an observable. Tell me, how do we create an observable? Everyone understood my question? I want to create an observable in this component. How do we create an observable? Hmm. This is normal interview question, which you might get if you are showing more than 4 plus or 5 plus years of experience. Very normal question. How do you create an observable? Looks very easy, na? This is something we should know, correct? Since we are working and we use all the Rxjs operator. So this question should be very easy one, correct? So how do we create the observable? Hmm. Who would like to go? Arvind, Praveen.
Hello, we can create a observable by a new uh, subject, okay, behavior subject, and then we can
Right?
add as observable.
So see, first is like we see, understand the question. Interviewer is not going to explain the question, correct? If he says I have to create an observable in this component. So how there are multiple ways by which we can create an observable. First is subject and subject behavior. What is the output of that, right? Let's say mm, on data change colon subject new. Okay, data type. Let's say Boolean data I'm going to emit. Right. So this is normal observable. The data type is subject, but subject is nothing but it belongs to the observable data type, correct? We can subscribe to it. So means basically it's a observable. Subject is there, subject behavior is there. Again, what other ways are there? What other way is there? Hmm. What other way is there? How do we create our observable? And see over here difference also. Subject isn't required to be getting initialized, but behavior subject needs to be initialized. Okay. If I remove this true, it will throw you the error that it is not initialized, or basically it needs that argument, but basic behavior is whenever we create, we have to initialize by default value. Okay. Now, these are the two ways by which we have created subject. One more way is there. Anyone recall? How do we create observable again?
Just creating a new observable.
How do we write that? Let's say data. What will be the data type? Observable. Like this.
Yes, n square per Boolean.
Like this. This is observable. Let's try to do all the same thing in constructor now. So this dot, what's our first one? Data change. I'm able to subscribe. Okay. Data change to.
Yes.
Here also I'm able to subscribe. Let's try with data. Here also I'm able to subscribe. Correct? So you understood what was the basic question? How do you create an observable? This is not a real observable. This is a derived class of the observable, correct? Subject and behavior subject, by default, it is overriding the observable. But how do you create an observable? So this is how you create an observable. Very simple question, isn't it? Means, let's say you
Yes.
are saying you have 4 plus experience now. So if someone asks you like just create an observable, so this is the simplest way. If you create this, then they will ask you another thing, right? This is also correct because this is also observable only. One more way is there. Off operator. Anyone have used off operator? What's the purpose of off operator?
It will replace the stream of value or data into an observable.
Right? See, what I'm going to do, city list is equal to off from Rxjs. Once I enter it, it will add the import. Okay. Then inside this, you can provide some data. Okay. Let's say string of array I'm passing.
It is not array.
Hmm? Okay. So if you hover it, see, what's the data type? Observable. So by using off operator also, you can convert this normal variable into observable type of data. Again, you can subscribe to this also. Understood? So what will be the ideal scenario by which we can use off operator? Where should we use this off operator? What might be the scenario?
In drop down.
No, I have just taken an example to create it. But what will be the ideal scenario where we have to use the off operator? See, consider like you are working on a project where you have a detail page. You remember that detail page we draw one time? Let's say we have a big screen and basically let's say we have stepper. Okay. On click of this, one component is getting rendered. On click of this, another component is getting rendered. So I need to store some value, and with each item click, I need to emit some value. So that value should be in the parent component. So just to emit some value from the parent component only, I can use make of the off operator. Here we can use subject and behavior subject also, but I don't want to create that something in the service. In the component, on the component level only, I'm going to use it. So we use the off operator. So what we do, let's say if we took an example of city list, in every component, whatever component on each step you are going to render, in every component, you are going to need the city list. Okay. So what you will do in the parent component, you will declare this off with city list. And in every child component, you will just subscribe by passing or no. How do we pass that? So in that case, we will, because if we declare it over here, we cannot access that value in the child component. So instead of doing it over here, we will declare that in the service. And whenever this component get initiated, and in every component, we will be subscribing to the city list. See, normally instead of creating off also, we could have created a normal variable and there also we could have stored it, right? But another way by using observable also we can do like this. Okay. So in service, we will create an off operator and we will store some data inside this. And wherever we need that data, we can subscribe to that like this. I'm not recalling the exact scenario now, but this is also possible because I have used it multiple times just to store some static data, but scenario was something else. Okay. So let's say you have a scenario where you need to store some data and it should not be a normal variable. And based on the request, you want to cache that data. So you can store observable type of data by using off operator. Okay. Whatever we did by using this four way, basically we have created observable.
ये double click करके रखने का.
Sir, if it is like we are when we are using behavior subject, that that component should not it need not be present in the DOM, but still we can render that by using behavior subject with off operator. How it
No,
is, sir?
it is normal. It is normal observable. Behavior subject is the only thing, means after it record the history also. That's its purpose. Off will behave same like the subject. Okay.
Okay.
It will
Okay,
behave
sir.
like the same.
Okay, sir.
Fine. So off operator, by using off operator also, we can create observable type of data. We can store something and in the component or in the service, we can store it and we can subscribe to it. Clear?
So, hello, the scenario would be like if we want to get some API call, okay, and it is fail, and by default we want to show some value. So, in the backend we are getting a value with the observable. So we can change the value into observable, and we can show that data in the UI.
No, see, if city list dot, do we have next operator over here in city list? Do we have next operator available in the city list? No, correct? But if you check this other data change and everything, we have next operator available. What's the use of next operator? What do we do
To
with
emit
that?
the value.
Trigger.
Emit the value means what we actually do when we say emit the value. We are changing the value of this observable, na? Correct?
Yes.
And once we
Yes.
change the observable value, wherever we are subscribing, that subscribe will execute because new value got published. Correct? But in case of off, we don't have an option to change this value. It's like static. Got it? The difference between this 3.2 and this off. Okay. So that's the basic observable. Then what's the use of pipe operator? Why do we use pipe operator? What's the use of pipe operator? And where do we use it? First of all,
In the template.
right? Let's say, no, not pipe, that pipe. We are talking Rxjs, na? So not that
Async pipe.
No, not that pipe. Rxjs operator pipe. Okay. Let's say I want to trigger this API. Okay. So get users. Return.
Okay, got it.
Return this dot http dot get. Okay. This API, what's the response of this API? What's the response? Object, na? Okay. Do we need to
Object of array list.
right? First of all, it's an object. Inside that data field,
Yes.
we have got the array. So what's the important, what out of this object, what is important for us? Just the array,
Data.
correct? We don't have to do anything with this in case of get API. Yeah, if it is post API or update, delete something, then we will check like if result is true or not. But if it's a normal get API, we don't want to, we don't want this field. I want just the data. So in my service, I have written my API call, and this API call, I will do subscribe in my function, right? Get user list. So this dot master service dot get users subscribe. Now I'm saying, let's say I created a variable user list colon any of array is equal to empty. In user list, I should directly get the array. I will just write this result over here. I don't want to write result dot data or something. Okay. how I can format the data. Because if you execute this function, this API is going to return object, correct? And inside that object, you have a data field. Inside that, you have the array. But what I said, in my component, I'm not going to write result.data, correct? See, let's add a debugger over here. The component I'm using, employee. Where is employee? Let me check the route. API call is not there. Get all request. This is the same component, no? Employee. Okay, this function we didn't call on the page load. Okay, so see the response. Here I got the object because that API is basically returning the object. So that object I got, right? If I directly assign it over here, in this I'm getting the object. So object I cannot assign it to the array variable, right? See? Okay. So what I said, I just need the array over here. I don't want the object. I just need what data which is important to me. So how do we do that?
We use pipe and then map,
Right?
and we read.
So from this function, we are making the API call. Now what we read, what we have written, return statement. So whatever the data we get from this API, we are simply returning it without modifying. So what I need to do, I need to modify the response over here. So to modify the data before returning it back to the function, we can use pipe operator. So first of all, pipe operator is basically to join another pipe, another operators. Is pipe operator helps you to group another operators. Okay. So inside pipe, you can use my filter, debounce, what are the operators, tab operator, what are the operators you have, you can bind that inside the pipe operator. Without using pipe operator, you cannot use other operators. Okay. So pipe operator only lets you to group another Rxjs operator. Fine. Map. So result, here we need to provide the data type. Any result dot data. We might need return, right? No. How do we write?
No need.
It's not saying. Okay, map. So we need the data type. That was correct because we didn't updated the import result any. Fine. So now what I'm doing, once I get the data from this API call, I am modifying the result. What I'm returning, just result.data. So see now. By just doing this code, here you can see we just got the array. We didn't get that whole object now. Understood? Okay. So what will be the scenario where you will use map operator? What will be the scenario where you will use map operator? One scenario I have explained. What might be other scenarios? See,
We
there
need
are
to change
multiple
the
scenarios.
object.
See, scenarios can be anything. Basically, from while returning the observable, you just want to modify the data. That's it, no? Correct? Currently, we are making API call. So whatever the data we get from the API call, we just want to modify data and then send it back to the receiver. That's it. Now your scenarios can be anything. Let's say your user list. Now you want to showcase the user dropdown. Okay. But what you are getting in your API, you are getting everything. But what you need, just user ID and the username. So what you can do, you can create a new array also. Okay. So see, this is what we have done. From object, we have just sent the data. Okay. Now get user data for drop down. What I need from my API, I'm getting the all user properties, but I don't need all the properties in my component. I just need user ID, user name, array. Okay, in my array of object, I just need two fields. So map. Now we have to create new object, right? Let's say result colon any. That will be, let's say, ID result dot. What is we are getting? User ID, and that too with different properties also. Okay, name result dot. Let's say I need full name. Why we are getting error? Name is deprecated. Why it is saying name is deprecated? Return is also not required. Let's say let's go with full name. Cannot find full name. Why it is saying like this? We are first filtering the data. Here we will get the array. Then we do something like here we need to use return statement, I think. Return okay, let's try now this. Now I'm just creating one more function, get user drop down list, and here I will be calling this function. Let's try. Okay, so in the first function, what we did, we just formatted the data from that object. We have just written the array. So here we got the array, and in that array we got all the property, right? Everything whatever we get from the API. Continue. So now if you see this, wait, why we got single object? Something, it has written the single object. Map we should use, or filter map only, na? How do we write it? Let's try to add a debugger over here if we can check, because here we will get array. So from array we cannot pick something. So see, here we got array. Let me search. How do we use map operator? Syntax is something else. Map operator to format.
Can you try once filter method?
Filter is something else now, where we can write the condition. Map. It's just syntax, I'm missing something.
Same map, but I think the key needs same. The key we are passing, right? Result that
Key should be same. No. See, map will get all, here we are getting an array. So from result array, we cannot use the single value, no? So syntax is something else. So what we should search? Rxjs map operator to format array of object with specific field array. Start. Map vehicle dot map. Okay, wait. So see, currently just see what we are getting in our over here. So in result, what you are getting? Whole array. Okay. Now you need, what's the basic purpose of map operator? What does map operator does? What's the basic use of map operator? What it does?
Transform.
Iteration.
Iteration. Okay. Yeah, it's transform, but how does it transform? It iterates on all the element. Here it was iterating on the object keys, how many keys it has. Now here in result, what do we got? Array. So again inside that we need to write the map operator so that it will iterate on all the object whatever we have in the array. Okay, so let's write, because here we got the array na? So from that array in every element we have object. So from that object we just need to format the specific thing. So let's write result dot map. Why it's not suggesting? Let's try to write. What is it? User colon any return inside this return, and then we will pass this object in here. Let me just add a debugger over here also and over here also. And now here we have to use, instead of result, we will use this user object which we have created, inner map. Okay, let's try. Okay, so see, in first map operator we got the array. Okay, now in every element map operator will work on object also and array also. In object it will iterate on every key value pair data, and in array it will obviously iterate on the every element. Okay, now once I click on next, see, in user we got the first element. Okay, second, third, fourth. We continued. Let's try again. Reload. You understood how map is executing? How many elements we have in that result, that much time this map will execute. Why we are getting undefined still? And do we need to return this also? Let's try, because output of this will be a new array of object. Let's try. So see, now we got it. Got it? Now we got a different set of object. So whatever the object, whatever the data we get from that API call, we got so many properties, but what we needed was just two fields. So now we got that. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So see, this mistake you are also going to make, I am also going to make. So this is how you rectify it. You are able to understand also. Now we got undefined because we didn't return, right? Clear? So just try
Yes.
writing, because see, these things, it's little bit syntactical also, but you cannot remember all this syntax. You have to write something and try it. Something will work. Correct? Just like we tried right now. Understood? And
Yes.
believe me, map operator we have to use so many times when we actually work on the data centric application, right? In some session I have explained, right? In my application, we just have a table. We land, once we log in, we just have a table and we just have one form, that's it. But within that only, we just have a what do we say, quotation kind of something. Okay, RFQ is the word, request for quotation. So in that request, our object, main parent object, we have 15 to 16 parent field, and in every field we have inner object, right? So there are multiple chain or inner object, nested object. So And when for gate API, we just have a single gate API that will get us all the data. And in one component, we just need this data. In another component, we just need this data. So we cannot subscribe whole data into our component. So we format it, whatever the data we need. That's it. Because from API, I'm getting so many things, but from, let's say my component is for showing the part detail. So why I need the everything, na? So I will just subscribe that particular data. So by using this, we do that. Understood? Okay, sorry, where meeting just ended, na? Or before some time? Where was I?
Map.
Okay, so by using map, you are actually modifying the response, whatever you got. But in some case now, you want to do some operation on the actual response also. Now this function, whatever the data you got from this API, you actually modified that. So there is no place that you have the actual data. But here comes one other operator, that is tap operator. Okay. So after this, you will use tap operator. Okay. Now see the difference, result colon any. And I will just add a debugger over here. So see, what do we get in tap? First, this map will do the work. Let me reload again. No, wait, why did we get the object? Do we need to write the tab first? Let's write the tab first. Okay, so in tab, you got the actual response. Okay, then your remaining operators are working. Then you actually modify the response and send it back to your receiver. Now, the actual use of tap operator is just to listen to the original observable data, original stream of data, whatever the data you get from the API. To listen to that, you use the tap operator. Now, as we know, like we are modifying the data, whatever the data we get from the API, we are modifying it, right? But why do we use this tap operator then? Basic purpose of tap operator is to receive all the actual data. Understood? Without modified. Clear? Understood or
Yes.
not? Okay. Then what will be the scenario? What we will do it inside this tap? Hmm?
Just to check the value console.log.
No.
If we have some other functionality with the original data,
Right.
we'll store.
See, let's say you have a big object. Inside that you get employee, basic detail. Again inside that you have object, then family list. Again, it's an array. Then you got project details. Okay. So this object you will get over here in the tab, and that you will store in your subject behavior or anything. And now you, because you are not going to make API call again and again, na? You already done the API call. So actual response, consider like you have something as API response like this. Okay. But in your component, you just need the family list. So you are going to modify that by using tap operator. But original object you are going to store in your behavior subject. So after that, if you need the original object, whatever the actual data you get from the API, you will subscribe it from your data. So let's say I created observable over here, behavior subject. Instead of Boolean, let's go with any. Okay, sorry. Over here also any. Okay. Now in this variable, I will store this data. So this dot next result. So actual response I have in this subject. So if I need somewhere, I need the whole object. So I can subscribe to this and I can get the data. Understood? So tab
Yes.
operator we use to store the original stream of data, whatever we have. And if needed, we can always listen from this behavior subject. Got it? So again, this
Yes.
concept we use where we have so much of data to be processed. Almost all industrial application will have so much of data. So basically everywhere we use this tab operator. Okay, if you have not worked on project like this, might be you are not using it. You can use it, but you are doing it in another ways, or you are doing multiple API call or your multiple function. But if you know this, like let's say on the page load, you are making one API call, and in that API call, you are getting everything. Okay. But might be possible that API team member have created one more API also just to get the family detail. So you might be having one function for getting family detail and one more API call for this. But if you, and on the page load, you might be doing two API call, one to get the family detail and one to get the whole object. So if you know this, you will be making just one API call to get the whole object. Inside that, you got the family list also and this also. So this is how you format your API functions then. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if meeting will get close. Okay, so if meeting get closed, I will share another link. What next we can see? That retry is very easy. Okay, retry is there. How do we add that retry? So the purpose of retry is how many times, let's say, if okay, my API won't be down now. So retry operator is like this, whatever the observable you are trying to do over here. Basically, we are making the API call. So it will try, first it will try to make the API call. If the API is not available, right? Again, it will try. Again, it will try. So how many times it will try? 3 times. Because we said retry 3. Okay. Let's see if it shows the information. It is not showing. But basically, purpose of this is like 3 times it will try to fetch the data from this API. Clear?
Yes.
Well, sometimes happens. Let's say our API might be down, so we just have to try 1 or 2 times. Okay, so we have a retry operator.